My dear compatriots, my decision, long and carefully considered, is not to be a candidate in the next election on February the 25th, 2024, even though the Constitution gives me the right to do so. It will also come as a surprise to those who wish to see me continue to guide the construction of Senegal, which is gradually finding its feet. But Senegal is more than me. It is full of capable leaders.
That was the president of Senegal, Macky Sall, making an announcement that has drawn practically universal praise, and that's because many, especially those in the opposition political forces, many had expected the incumbent and two-term leader to try to seek a third term in office. Now, Senegal's constitution only allows 2 terms. His country is a key U.S. ally in West Africa. The U.S. State Department saying that this announcement sets a clear example to those who seek to erode democratic principles. Praise, too, in Senegal, both from Sall's supporters and from his opponents. Take a listen.
You have to respect your word, and it's this respect that has led us to this situation. From now on, he will be highly respected internationally. He did what he could for Senegal. His act is noble, and he acted as a respectable person.
It changes a lot of things. There's stability. The country has become stable. The country has become governable.
Macky Sall has resolved the situation. Now, any future president will know that he can only serve 2 terms and then leave.
We need a president who takes pity on the Senegalese. We need a president who doesn't kill his people. We need a president who listens to his people. Senegalese citizens must feel and live like American citizens do.
Yeah, a merciful, magnanimous leader. What's going on here? For more, we want to go over now to our correspondent, Sierra Thierry. She joins us from the capital of Senegal, Dakar. Sierra, it's good to see you. You know, we heard there from voters in Senegal expressing relief, pride that Macky Sall has made the right decision for the country. Talk to me about what was at stake in this upcoming election.
Well, people had been asking Macky Sall whether he would run for a 3rd term for months, and he'd refused to answer. So that's why last night's announcement really came as a great relief for the people here. Political tension has been running really high recently in the country, and there's a lot of fear of violence erupting again, especially after more than a dozen of protesters were killed just a month ago. Critics have been warning for a while that democracy is in danger in Senegal, especially legal experts who say that running again for a 3rd time would be against the country's constitution. Today, life was calm in Dakar, was normal. People were going on about their days, shops were open, traffic was running quite normally. And at least for now, we can say that the announcement has eased at least some of the recent tension.
Yeah, and we know that there had been concerns that the president, might run for a 3rd term. We've seen recent unrest in the country, raising fears for the country's stability as a whole. Talk to me about the opposition. How has the opposition been reacting to this?
Well, we haven't really heard from the opposition yet. Their leader, Ousmane Sonko, he had said before Macky Sall's announcement yesterday, he had called for more protests if he had announced to run for a 3rd term. And that's because he and other critics, they accuse Sall for bringing court cases against the opposition to sideline his competition in the elections that are happening in February next year. And there's also still a lot of anger over the sentencing of Sonko to 2 years in prison for charges of what they call here corrupting the youth. Right now, Sonko, he's practically under house arrest, and it's still unclear whether he'll be able to run next year or not.
Senegal has been seen as a beacon of democracy in a region of Africa that has been beset by autocrats. You've had military takeovers, and you've had basically old men clinging onto power, no matter what the Constitution say. What signal does this president's decision send to Senegal's neighbors?
Well, Senegal has really been seen as an outlier in West Africa, in a region where democracy, like you just said, is really under threat. I mean, we just need to look at the neighboring countries. There are junta governments in power in Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Guinea after coups, and also the presidents of Ivory Coast and of Togo. They're ruling beyond their 2 constitutional terms. So this is really sending a strong signal that democracy must prevail in the region. There's also been a lot of praise by neighboring leaders. By the president of Gambia, for example, he wrote on Twitter that this was a courageous move of Macky Sall that will strengthen democracy in Africa at large, and also praised by the African Union, by the US, and by France, whose foreign ministry has hailed this really as a proof of solidity of Senegalese democracy.
Yes, so in politics, it's never easy to be an outlier, it seems, when you're talking about democracy, rule of law. So tell us more about this man, Macky Sall, and his legacy. How has he shaped Senegal?
Macky Sall was elected in 2012, and since then he's been leading Senegal, which is one of the fastest growing economies on the continent. During his time, there's been a new airport, a new international airport that was constructed, a new train that is connecting Dakar, the capital, to its suburbs, and also a whole new city that is supposed to help ease the traffic in the capital. And I'm sure you've heard about the gas fields that have been discovered off the northern coast of Senegal that could really turn the country into one of Africa's major producers of natural gas. But of course, there are still a lot of problems that still need to be tackled, such as the healthcare system, which is very underdeveloped. There's a lot of youth unemployment as well. And of course, even though there was last night's announcement, there are a lot of questions that remain about the state of democracy in the country. There have been hundreds of political opponents that have been jailed and journalists arrested. And of course, we can't forget about those people who were killed in those protests just a month ago.
Yeah, that's a very good point that you make there. Correspondent Sira Thierry joining us tonight from Dakar in Senegal. Sira, thank you.